And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today. Welcome back, my people. Welcome back, LeBron James fanboys. When it rains, it pours. And the closer we get to the end of the Ducks' career, the more and more gets exposed about this guy, the more the truth is revealed about this guy. Just did a story about LeBron James not being wanted on the Redeem team due to his attitude, due to his entitlement, and due to his not taking the game as serious as they wanted the mentality to be, due to the fact that the United States hadn't won the gold the last time LeBron James was on the Olympic team. So just did a story about that. And as all of these things start to surface about the duck, the deer, and these things that will make people reevaluate how they view the career of LeBron James, there is one big elephant behind the curtain. And I say behind the curtain because it's not actually in the room, because they're trying to keep it hidden. LeBron James has never addressed it. Clutch Sports never addresses it, even though they address any and every little thing that is said about LeBron James. The elephant behind the curtain, these guys just refuse to touch. Well, the story has made its rounds. I've seen a couple of content creators do videos. Shout out to Dreamers Pro. Shout out to Too Raw for Sports. I believe I saw him do a video. Maybe I'm mistaken. But Ric Bucher on his On the Ball podcast basically says that, hey, people behind the scenes just assume that LeBron is on the juice. They just assume that. Players, coaches, he said that this is just an assumption that people kind of take as fact. They assume LeBron James is doing that. And the big thing about that is for all the things that we say, talk about, that should make one reevaluate how they view the duck, the deer, the leader of the 4 and 6 kingdom. This particular thing would be the grand finale. If this thing ever comes out to be confirmed true, even though I feel like, a lot of people believe it is, including myself. Can't say definitively, but believe it is. If it's ever confirmed, this thing would just completely erase his whole legacy, if you can call it that. The legacy is manufactured to begin with. But if this thing is ever confirmed, it would erase his whole legacy, the juice. But without further ado, let's hear what Ric Bucher had to say on the matter.
It's one of the more annoying aspects, I'd say, of the idolatry of LeBron, that he is credited by some as being this sensei that has the answer to all things basketball, and that everybody is going to him for the answers. Now,
I want to stop it right there for just a second. That is one of the more annoying things about LeBron, is that he keeps being presented as such a high IQ person. And I feel like anybody with just a little bit of thinking ability, so that excludes you LeBron James fanboys, anybody with just a little bit of thinking ability can listen to the guy talk and tell he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. They can tell that this whole high IQ thing is I want to say highly overrated, but is maybe non-existent. I mean, if you compare him to other greats when they talk about the game, when you compare him to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant talking about the game, when you compare him to Larry Bird or Magic Johnson talking about the game, I haven't heard Tim Duncan a whole lot of interviews with him, but I can tell just by his demeanor and how he carries himself, he obviously has a higher IQ than LeBron James. But yeah, this is one thing that is, again, another overrated thing about LeBron. But anyway, let's take it from the top.
It's one of the more annoying aspects, I'd say, of the idolatry of LeBron, that he is credited by some as being this sensei that has the answer to all things basketball, and that everybody is going to him for the answers. Now, we know for a fact that guys did that with Kobe. I don't know of anybody who has said, yes, I sought out LeBron to find out his secrets. I certainly, look, I appreciate LeBron for what he's done. I just don't make the assumption that everyone wants to be him. And there's also the nagging question about exactly how he's maintained such extraordinary fitness at such a ripe age. Now, whether there's any basis for the speculation, and I think you all know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to voice it because I don't have the means of backing it up. But we all know what the speculation is out there. And I can assure you there's plenty of it privately by players and personnel in the league. Like, I've always thought, maybe it could be, and I've had players and coaches say things to me like they take it for granted. They assume it's true. It always catches me a little off guard. They're just like, oh yeah, that's going on.
All right, people, you heard him. He said players and coaches assume that it is true. So not just the players and coaches, but obviously a lot of the fans, including myself, assume that it is true. Now, this goes back to, again, it's been so many things coming out about LeBron James, but this feud between him and Stephen A. Smith, every time something new comes out, I actually think of Stephen A. Smith getting on his podcast and saying, basically, you guys have no idea the things that I know or could expose about LeBron James. This is what Stephen A. Smith said. Now, like Stephen A. Smith or hate him, I absolutely 100% believe him when he says you guys have no idea about the things I could expose about this guy. And so, is this one of them? Wouldn't be surprising. But greed, people. Greed is the downfall of so many people. Well, number one, you got to think of it like this. Normally, there's a certain mentality behind greed. There's a certain mentality behind greed. And I believe that character flaw behind greed. Usually greed is accompanied by a lack of regard for others, super extreme selfishness, and this ultimately leads to the downfall. Like, you see it with drug dealers. Like, there are drug dealers who I know in my city that despite they've been getting away with it for years, they never check out of the game. They never just say, okay, I made enough money, like I got X amount of dollars in the bank, let me just quit. No, they always have this mentality that as long as I can make the money, I'm going to keep doing it, and they keep doing it until they're eventually caught and go to jail. This is what happened with P. Diddy. Again, when you keep on pressing the issue, until your world collapses. And this is what's happened with LeBron James. Again, this year, LeBron James pushed the line too far. As a greedy person would do. This year, LeBron James abused his power to a degree that he's not going to be able to recover from. And now everything is unraveling. And now the curtain is coming up. And now everyone is just saying how they feel about LeBron James. And all these stories are coming out that if LeBron James had just retired about 6 or 7 years earlier, he probably wouldn't have to go through this. But LeBron James cannot leave the spotlight. So he continues to play, and he gets his son in the league. He gets J.J. Redick in the league, and he pushes the line too far, and now these things are coming out. Now we're hearing about, hey, they didn't really want LeBron on the Dream Team. This is very damaging thing to know about a so-called GOAT. They on the Dream Team, on the Redeem Team, they didn't want you on the Redeem Team. And they were saying, hey, we got Kobe. That's enough. That's who's going to get us to the win. That and the reasons that they didn't want you, because they said you were immature. They called the people who ran in your circle enablers. This is why they didn't want you. And we're finding out behind the scenes type of things that are coming to the forefront. And now Ric Bucher says, hey, look, players and coaches kind of just accept this as fact, which is that really surprising? Because we had Kevin Garnett come out talking about he's on that Balco, that new juice. I think I just saw a video with Dreamers Pro talking about Shaq caught on the microphone saying something about LeBron and PEDs, or saying something like, "Oh, you on that Bron." So all of these things are coming out, but it's not surprising. Again, if you are someone who is observant and you just pay attention to how LeBron James moves, then these things aren't surprising at all. Now, here's the thing. LeBron James fanboys, you guys have had as many warnings as you can get. I tried to tell you to go ahead and seek some help to deal with the fallout that's going to happen when your king's world crumbles and ultimately your world, because for some reason you're blindly attached to the 4 and 6 kingdom. I tried to tell you to go ahead and prepare for that like 2 years ago. And here we are seeing these things coming out lately are highly damaging. This is not just me up here talking and telling you what I believe is going to happen based off the things I'm seeing on the surface, based off of his low integrity way of going about the game, based on how he left Cleveland, which people stay tuned for Fanboy Friday. Fanboys, you really not gonna want to tune in this Friday. I promise you that. This Friday is gonna be. Yeah, I just watched the video that made me take a whole look at this Cleveland thing and going to Miami through a totally different lens. Yeah, fanboys, click on at your own risk. But yeah, Fanboy Friday is going to be a good one. But like I said, this goes beyond me just giving you my view of how things are going to play off and my view is just based off patterns of human history. Like if you see certain traits in certain people, you can tell how the situation is going to come out, because it comes out that way, let's say 90% of the time. There's always exceptions to the rules, but you don't want to count on being the exception to the rule, especially when it comes to something detrimental. You don't want to count on being the exception to the rule. So with all of these things coming out from people who are much closer to the situation than we are, like this just confirms what we have all thought, what we have all known about LeBron James. And like I said, these things are highly damaging things coming out. And we're just on the surface, people. Like I said, next year is going to be a lot worse because LeBron James seems to be at a point where he wants to open his big mouth more often, and this guy does himself no favors. He does himself no favors. Every time LeBron James opens his mouth, he helps to confirm the things that we all think about him. He helps to confirm that, hey, this guy is a complete narcissist. He helps to confirm that, hey, this guy is a complete liar. Like, must you lie on every podcast you do? Like, every time you open, must you tell a lie? And is it just that you can't keep up with the amount of lies that you've told? Or is it the fact that you just don't care? Like, you're just going to say whatever benefits you at the moment, knowing that you have a cult fan base in the 4 and 6 kingdom that will accept anything you say without question. One or the other. But LeBron James does himself no favors. But anyway, we're going to hold up here. Not sure what much more there is to say about this, except for, like, with these PED rumors, there's too much evidence surrounding his circle of people, the enablers, as they were called, that says it is more likely than not likely, to me, that this is a fact. It is more likely than not likely. And like I said, this thing would completely erase his entire legacy, because and it would erase it in a way that's he's 4 and 6 already. This is what you have to think about. He's 4 and 6 in the finals, and now 4 and 6 is just general because on paper, right? Because a lot of us don't. I really, at this point, don't think any of his championships should count. But on paper, he's 4 and 6, meaning he was able to cheat his way to 4 championships. But you mean to tell me it took you being allegedly on PEDs to get 4 out of 10 championships? It took you allegedly doing that just to get a 4 and 6 outcome? Wow, that's crazy. That is like, if you were a spokesperson for the benefit of PEDs, you're a horrible salesman. You're a horrible spokesperson for that product, because it's like, oh, hey everybody, I'm LeBron James, and I'm here on behalf of a new product, that Balco, that new juice. It does wonders. It can turn somebody who wouldn't have won a championship at all into someone who could win 4 out of 10 championships. Now, I know you say that's still a losing record, but what's the alternative? My name is LeBron James. I'm the spokesperson for Balco. I just want to come and say and tell you all the wonderful things that Balco has done for my life. If it wasn't for Balco, I wouldn't be 20% from the clutch. I mean, can you imagine what I would be without Balco? Yeah, okay. Wow. Anyway, fanboys, when it rains, it pours, and the levee has broken. Has broken for the 4 and 6 king. It's too late. You can't put the cat back in the box or put the cat back in the bag. The cat is out of the bag, and people are saying what they feel about this guy. which aligns with everything we've been saying, for the past several years. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think of Ric Bucher saying, hey, this is kind of just like an accepted thing amongst players and coaches? Like, they all assume that is true. Is that a surprise to anybody? Definitely not a surprise. Like I said, considering whatever we've been able to figure out just on the surface, just by how LeBron James carries himself, just by how he talks, just by how he's gone about his career, the things that we've been able to figure out on the surface, it gets much deeper the closer you get to the situation. So, shout out to Clutch Sports, aka the Enablers. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.